Hello, hello. I'm going to get started here. Can you hear me? You actually might hear some birds in the background here. We got some crows in the in my yard. Great to see everybody in here. How is everybody doing today? You like my background? That's part of my mind maps. It's actually a sketch that I did whenever I was redoing a logo for Berith Ministries in Florida. So you get extra points if I make embroidery designs. That sounds pretty pretty extensive there. That's funny. All right, welcome you guys. It is week 1 still, live lecture 2. We met up on Monday. If you didn't get a chance to be there live, hopefully you checked out the live recording for some, I'm sorry, not live recording, the lecture recording for some important information regarding your discussion and your assignment 1. And, you know, let me know if you have any questions. I see a lot of you guys getting started with the discussion, which is great. And chime me in there. Did anybody have any questions before I get started here? Oh, you guys are talking to each other. That's great. All right. Well, I'm going to go forward here just to kind of. Oh, okay. Did you try a different browser, Christina? Sometimes, you know, that could be an issue too. What is that? What is what? A browser? A web browser, so it's like Firefox, Google Chrome, Safari. Typically, Safari doesn't really handle, it's not a good cross-platform browser, so you might have some issues doing certain things on certain websites. So, you know, Firefox or Google Chrome usually is a better way to go when if you're having any issues with websites and getting into logins and things working, videos, all that. Okay. Usually IT is really good. They actually helped me recently, Christina, so just kind of see, okay, yeah, just see if they can get back to you with that. As we go forward here, don't forget you guys have deadlines coming up. Your discussion 1 post needs to be posted by tonight before midnight Mountain Standard Time for full credit, possible full credit. Don't forget to respond to 2 different peers on separate days to gain as much as you can from the discussion. And then your week 1 work, so that's your assignment and your assessment, is due by Saturday before midnight as well. All right, just a little recap here. The last time that we met up on Monday, just a little recap here. We went over well, I kind of introduced myself, and then we went over the differences between brand identity and logo. We also talked about what makes a logo work and the common logo mistakes. We're getting started. Quick overview of the logo design process. And then we went over your discussion 1 and assignment 1. Yep, we're getting started here. Did you have a question? I'm sorry if I missed that. All right. All right, so today, I'm guessing that's a no question there. All right, today we're going to talk about the effect. We're going to kind of talking about what makes a logo effective, just a little review. Just a little review of your assignment 1, see if you have any questions remaining. And then we're going to go into what are brand identities and show you some examples of that. Your mic is off. Yeah, I kind of muted everybody for now. The birds are in my back in the outside, so they're kind of crazy. I don't know. I think they're crows. They're cawing in the background. Sorry about that, guys. I can shut my windows if it becomes crazy. So then we're going to look at identifying 4 different logo marks and talk about the logo redesign process steps. And then, of course, I don't have it on here, but we're going to go over your assessment 1, and then we'll have kind of like an open critique. Yeah, the crows are crazy sometimes. Okay, so we met on Monday and we talked about what makes a logo work. So I'm going to do a little review here and see if everybody who were, well, I think Christina was the only one in here on Monday, but if you reviewed lecture 1 from week 1 on Monday, you can probably try to answer these if you remember them. If not, take a good guess. Can you describe, and we talked about this on Monday, what 5 characteristics on what makes a logo work? These are the 5 things that I'm going to use to help evaluate your work as well. That's right, Christina. We're picking on everybody else now. You were in the spotlight. So what makes a logo effective? Can you guys tell me maybe one guess of what a characteristic of an effective logo would be? Simple, good. That's good. Lecture times are always posted in the live session area. So if they're always where they usually are. We don't post them anywhere else but there. So timeless, good. Yep, simple, timeless. Those are 2 perfect ones that I was waiting for, so 3 more. Can you think of the other 3? You guys are on a roll. Yeah, that definitely is part of the keyword that I'm trying to think of here. It's versatile. Yep. So versatile means, it's versatile enough to be applied to other things, applications in other ways, scaling them. So raster is part of that, being versatile. Yep. Mm-hmm. So, okay, so we have simple, timeless, versatile, and we need 2 more. Can you think of the other 2? See how good you guys were paying attention. We got this. Come on, let's go. I'll give you a guess. The first one was simple, right? But we don't want it to be boring, because if it's boring, then it's what? Do you think everybody will remember it? So if you can't remember it, then what? It's not memorable, right? So you need it to be memorable. Yep. So simple, memorable, versatile, timeless, and 1 more. So it could be a little bit of a tricky one. Think about if you don't have the right color or the right typeface for the logo. This is kind of the hint on the last characteristic. I'll give this to you guys. I know I can see steam coming out of your ears. Appropriate. So it has to be appropriate, right? It has to have the appropriate typeface, the appropriate color, the appropriate style. And we went over these on Monday. Yep, steam coming out of your ears. You guys did good though. Yay. So, when I ask you this next week, hopefully you guys remember, right? And then what's really cool about that is once I keep drilling you about this, just like the CRAP principles of design, you guys will remember it. And then you'll always have that in your brain as you're designing. Okay, I gotta have this checklist. Is my logo simple? Is it versatile? Is it memorable? Is it timeless? Is it appropriate? You know, all those characteristics is what makes a logo work and makes it effective. So kind of cross-check that. Okay, so you can even screenshot this for the next time that I ask you. But yeah, it's good to kind of know this, because if your logo is not simple, it's going to be too complex. It's not going to be memorable. It's going to be hard to see. It's going to be too much. If it's not timeless, it's going to be trendy. And trendy is okay, but usually trends don't last. If it's not versatile, it's not going to be able to be placed, maybe scaled larger than it is. It's not going to be able to be placed on other applications like different materials. Maybe the size of it isn't quite a good size to place on different things. It's hard to read or hard to see. So that's really important. It has to be versatile. It has to be able to be on different orientations, different background colors, different textures, scaling smaller than it is, like 1.5 inches, and be able to be readable. Appropriate. You know, if you have the wrong typeface for a logo, it's going to be really weird. And I showed these examples on Monday. So if you missed that, you can kind of see the examples of that. I can make the slides available in, let me think here. I could put them in announcements if you would like. They'll just be kind of like a PDF slide file. Yep. You can also do a screenshot too. All right, so think about those things whenever you are designing your logo, especially for this week, and then going forward with any other, obviously, any other projects. Those are the 5 characteristics of what makes an effective logo. What is a brand identity? We talked about this on Monday. We talked about what logo means and what it is versus a brand identity versus a brand, because they all go hand in hand, but they're different. And again, if you missed that on Monday, you can definitely review that. But what is a brand identity? You guys remember that? Or do you know what it is? Can you describe it in your own words? So if a logo is part of brand identity, what else is brand identity? Can you give me examples? See, I'm just asking all kinds of questions today. Feeling, good. Product, yeah. Stationery, right? All kinds of different things. So that's kind of the brand identities that show the logo. The logo is a part of the brand identity as well. Good. So here's some examples, and I wanted to show you this because this is good to see. So the brand identity is parts of a brand that kind of comes together to make the brand what it is. And that can be printed stuff, that could be television, audio, stationery. The logo itself is all part of the brand identity because it's showing the logo on there and the brand essence. So this is an example of stationery for this particular brand, and you can see the logo on the left. But what's neat about these examples is you can see how the brand identities reflect the brand on different applications, but then also show the essence of the brand. It's very consistent. So you can kind of see how this particular brand was applied in different ways, in unique ways to kind of give that brand essence. So these are brand identities. Here's another one. So I mean, it's not just just printed materials. It could be web materials. It could be, like I said, commercials, audio. I think Christina said something about feelings, experiences. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, you guys are gonna be making your own logos. Yeah, so here are cups and business cards and a little folder. Here's another one. So you can see the consistency of each brand across the platform of brand identities. You get the whole consistency of the color, the shape, the logo itself, and in some interesting ways that they're being placed on different applications. There's another one. So these are brand identities, all part of the brand as a whole. Yeah. A great, rememberable logo have feelings. Yeah. So, I mean, think about experiences too. Because if you go into a particular store or a place of service and it's a brand and you have a really good experience, that's something that's all part of it. It's memorable. So it's, you know, it's not just about what you see visually, but what you experience too. It could be like the actual quality of the product or the service. It's all part of the brand. Yep. Here's some beer stationery. So, I mean, it's just endless amount of different types of brand identities. And I just wanted to show you these because I think it's a good way to see how consistent these are, and then different materials that they could be placed on. Yeah, I mean, you could have some really bad experiences and the brand looks great. You have, you know, everything else works, but then you have a really bad experience. And, you know, I've had that happen to me before as well. Oh, yeah. You were talking about that in your discussion post. Yep. Very, very cool. Yeah, but I mean, look at that. There's a box there that has wood on it. So, you know, the logo can be burned into stuff. Like I said before, that's why it's really important to have a logo being effective and versatile, because you don't know. I mean, it could be etched into glass. It could be, you know, burnt into wood. I mean, think about all the different things that could be material-wise that your logo could be on. So if you're having issues with versatility, you know, say if you have a lot of gradients in your logo that do not transfer well visually, say when you do burn it into wood or something like that, that could be a problem. So kind of think about that. Okay. So, you know, brand identities are all kind of makes up what a brand is. It keeps, you know, the brand recognition alive. It's consistent, just like with everything else, you know, showing the brand and being very cohesive with the brand itself. Okay. Assignment 1, yeah, we're going to actually, at the end of class, we'll have just kind of you guys, if you want to show anything you're working on, we can do that at that point too. Christina, you can show yours. Just a little recap of assignment 1 that we went over on Monday. So if you missed it, I went through like a step-by-step demo. Did anybody have any questions about assignment 1, by the way? And like I said, if you haven't watched the demo, you might want to do that first before you actually ask the questions. But if you actually did watch the demo and you have questions, let me know right now. This is basically what you're going to be doing is choosing one of the 5 brands to do a redesign for. And then whenever I was showing the demo, bring this up here. What I was explaining it to you was just kind of breaking it down into 9 sketches. Okay, so you could do this pen and paper, or you could do pencil paper, take a picture, scan it, or you can actually do it in Illustrator. And I kind of started showing you how it was done, how I would do it in Illustrator. And kind of just kind of laying it out for presentation purposes. Give me 1 second. Let me pull up my 9. So let me bring it up. I thought I had this open. Sorry, guys. All right. So I was kind of just showing you how I would lay this out. If you want to do all of your logos on 1 page, you might want to make it bigger. I kind of had it on 2 pages. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Christina, did you email me late, didn't you? Because or early, because I did see your email, but I didn't get a chance to read it. Oh no, I did. I responded to it. I think I responded to it. I was up pretty late grading, so kind of waking up right now. Yeah. So I mean, if you get to the point where you're out of ideas, that's what your process steps are for. Oh, okay. Okay, I'll have to take a look at that. That's what your process steps are for. So you might need to go back and do some research on competitors. You might have to go back to your brainstorming, even collaborating. You know, you might not have a friend around, but maybe you have a family member that can collaborate with some ideas, you know, jot down some sketches, have them kind of look at it. There's totally, you know, so many different things that you can do to brainstorm your adjective list, your mind maps. I used to always suck my ex-husband into my projects and be like, let's collaborate on this. Or, you know, when I worked at the ad agencies in Ohio, I used to always, you know, have brainstorming critique sessions. It's always good to get somebody else's opinion, especially when they're not designers, just to see what they see, because we're so into what we're doing. It's always good to kind of get an outside perspective on it. Might not be all the advice that they say or critique will be, you know, something that you're going to apply to it, but at least hear them out. There could be something that, you know, you're not thinking about or seeing that you could definitely change or, you know, improve upon. So what you're going to do is you're going to do sketches. They could be loose sketches. They could be rough sketches. They could be on the computer. I would definitely do this in Illustrator, black and white. Divide it up. Like I said, I just did 2 pages here. I didn't really think it through too much, but I did 2 pages and I numbered them so that when you send these in and for evaluation, I can say, hey, number 2 looks great. If you could just do this, this, and this. So I can easily kind of guide you and critique your work so that you know exactly which logo that I'm talking about. And then once you get your 9 done, you're going to take 3 of the stronger ones, and you're not going to copy and paste them and then that's it. You're going to improve upon them. You're going to do some type of changes. So for this one, for example, I took number 2 and I made it a little different. You can see how different it is here. I improved upon this concept, and then I placed it here. So you're going to find 2 other ones that are on your 9 sheet to improve upon and place it in here. Now that doesn't mean change the color, keep it black and white. You're going to be just kind of improving upon it, pushing it further. That doesn't mean you're adding stuff to it. Maybe you're actually deleting stuff from it. So, you know, thinking about the edit process is important. You're not hearing anything. Can everybody else hear me? Okay. Yes. Okay. Speakers, yes. Sorry, I think I said mic, but I meant to say volume your speakers. Check your speakers. Check your settings in Zoom as well. I guess I should be typing that, right? Okay. Anybody have any questions about that? Well, I'm kind of typing here. I think Tabara's having issues with volume here. We're gonna see if you guys have any questions while we're waiting for her to log back in. When you're done with that, you're gonna save this, and you can do this all in one file. And I mentioned that on Monday. Like for some reason, I did this 2 separate files, but you don't have to do that. You create Like for instance, here I could create 3 artboards. So my first sheet would be my first 8, second sheet would be 9, and then maybe my third artboard would be my 3 finals. That might kind of make more, more sense. So that all you'd need to do is have one file to work from, and then you can export it as PDF, and that would be the only PDF that you would have to submit. Does that make sense? Tabra, can you hear us? Can everybody else hear it? Christine, I know you can hear me. Janine, can you hear me? Okay. All right, she's trying to figure this out here. Hold on one second, you guys. Okay. Yeah, you can restart the computer, yeah. Okay, so no questions about that. So that's what you would submit. So really, I guess the you can go through each of these unless something sparks your interest and you don't care about, looking at each of these separately. But, if you're having a hard time deciding which client to go with, you can go in on each one of these hyperlinks and just read about each of these. There's a little synopsis of each company, and then also the logo itself. There's like a file of the original logo. Any questions about assignment 1 so far after kind of recapping here? No? Okay, I'm gonna take that as a no. Okay, I'm gonna go forward here. Hopefully we'll get Tabra back in here. Okay, on Monday we talked about steps of your design process. What's the first step of the design process before creating a logo? Can anybody answer that? Yeah, I mean, you definitely can go forward with that, Christina. I know I was kind of giving you my feedback on which I thought was the stronger one of all the ones that you sent me. So you can definitely push forward if that's something more interesting that you want to pursue. Yes, so critical thinking and research. Where's the brief, right? Not where's the beef. Where's the brief? Why do you need a creative brief? What's the purpose of a creative brief? To make sure you're following steps. So you make sure that you're on the same page, right? There's so many benefits to a creative brief, right? So you're on the same page with the client because you can share this with a client. You can sit with them and show them the creative brief and ask them questions that you need to fill in on the creative brief. That makes sure that you're all on the same page. But the beauty behind a creative brief too, for a designer, and I know I've fallen back on this, it gives you something to fall back on. So let's say you're working on a project, you're hard at work, you sat down with the client, you went over the creative brief, everybody's on the same page, everything looks great, all is well, everything's answered, correct, whatever. You get to the end of your project and the client's questioning you all of a sudden, saying, oh, I don't like this now. Why do we even choose this direction? Say they're giving you attitude, right? Well, it's pretty hard to say why if you don't have something to back up your reasoning, right? Unless you just say it verbally. A creative brief is something that it's like a paper trail. It's something that you can use to say, hey, yep. You can say, I sat with you. We talked about this on the creative brief. We were on the same page. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing. So it's a nice backup and a paper trail for if you were to have that, experience with a client who suddenly changes their mind, and it happens. Sometimes they forget or they point the finger, and it's like, okay, yep, and they kind of saw it, and they could say, listen, we agreed upon this. This is where I came from. This is where the thought process came from. Oh, there you go, Tabra. The mute button. So you can hear me. Can you hear me now? Awesome. All right. Glad to have you back. So we're just talking about what the first step of the design process is before creating a logo. So we're talking about the brief. And this is something we went over again on Monday. We went through the process steps. And it's not just all linear like this. Like I said, it's showing linear, from the top to the bottom, straight line, but it's not necessarily the steps that you would take all the time through the whole process. You might go back, say, for instance, you go through the brief, you do some research, you start brainstorming, and then suddenly you hit something, a problem, you have to go back to research. So it doesn't necessarily have to be all linear in regards to the doom button, in regards to your thought process. There's a creative brief checklist, strategy checklist that we should be paying attention to. And some of these questions could be something that you could talk about too in your discussion. So, for instance, you could ask the client, what is the brand's particular value, voice, and spirit, personality? What's the personality of the brand? And this can be all part of the mission statement. That's why I was talking about asking about the mission statement. If they don't have one, can you write out a mission statement for me? Just for me, so that I can have this in my creative brief and then use that to your advantage. Define the brand essence. Ask the client, can you define your brand? What's the overall brand essence that you're portraying? How can we be both honest and appealing? How will we position the brand in the marketplace? Define the brand promise. What does the brand promise all the time? How is the competition positioned? What do we want in the future? How can we differentiate our brand? That's a huge one. How can we make us stand out from everybody else if we're the same product or the same service? Maybe there's one thing that makes you different, and that's something that you need to know so that you can use that to your advantage in the whole logo creation and brand creation. How can we account for change? How can we create a logo that can be versatile enough to be able to change and evolve in the future, where you're not doing a whole redesign? And that's not just a logo itself. It could be even just the brand itself, the whole company as a whole. And I'm talking, all the brand identities. It could be, say, Target. They have printed brand identities. They have television advertisements. They have all kinds of signage, even down to what the employees wear. So how can they account for change? How can they evolve in the future? Something to think about. How can we anticipate trends? So things that you want to really think about when putting in certain things in the creative brief. And there's so many different things to think about. So most creative briefs are made up of questions and answers, which are used in an attempt to fully understand the brand, the objectives of the branding, and the branding context in the audience. So this is all part of the creative brief that should be in there. What is the brand profile? Production needs, distribution channels, SWOT analysis, competition, consumer profile, schedule, deliverables, market insights, business objectives. So those are the things that you could definitely focus on in the brief. You could give a background of what the company's all about. And that's basically what you're given for this first assignment. You're given a Word file of the background. So you might kind of think about what's the objective, what this particular piece of promotional material should achieve. Yep. Is a word mark an adequate logo? So what is it appropriate for this brand? It's a good question. Define target audience is a huge thing to consider, because these are the people that you're going to be, these are the people that are actually going to be buying into your product or service, or more likely to. That doesn't mean you're excluding everybody else. This is just who will be buying into your product and your brand and your service or service. So define them as people, not just job title. What's their ages, their background? What is their daily concerns? Yep, you guys probably have all heard about that, but target audience is great because that's who you're speaking to, is the brand. So if you're not speaking to the right target audience, you might be missing the big picture or the big audience for who's going to be actually buying into this. The promise, what you're offering them in a single sentence. This is not a description of your product or service. It's how it will benefit the reader. What is their promise to you? It could be about quality of service or product. So think about that. Support for your promise. So features and details of your product or service, which backs up the main benefit in your promise. This can be as long as you like. The more information, the better. So it kind of just supports. It's like, this is our promise, our quality, say quality service, and then support it with text that says why. How does it support it? Key message, what the reader should think, feel, and do as a result of reading this. So it's almost like a call out, right? So key message, and then timing and parameters. Format, size. This is all things that should be focused upon in your brief. Yep. And again, this is an sample of a creative brief that could be in a brief. What is the project title, the challenge, key audience, understanding brand essence, strategy, and execution. Part of that, again, is your target audience. So thinking about that, you are given a Word file with that information. Now, what makes it different in these classes is they're not real projects. So some of the times we kind of have to fill in the blanks, right? You can come to me and ask me questions too. I can kind of help you along with that. But if you kind of want to fill out your own quick little brief, that's fine too, to help you along the way. But this process step is key to the foundation to what you do. So you should be in habit of getting this, kind of doing this repeatedly with every project, not just this one. Okay, we talked about the design process too, so let's go into this a little bit more. The design process, again, phase 1 or step 1, we gain knowledge, we gather information. This can be done with the brief. You can sit down with the client. Okay, good. Sit down with the client, talk with them. You don't even have to sit down, just over the phone, email, gathering this information from them as much as you can, even talking to the target audience if you can. But defining the problem is really what's key for phase 1. So before beginning the design, sort out what problem you're trying to address. So here is a picture of me. This is I was doing a process book. So I went to graduate school at SCAD, and they're really big into the process, to the design process. And with every project that we did, so for instance, say this project would be creating a logo, I would have to do not only showing the steps of the logo drafts, but I would actually have to submit a process book showing every step of the way that I took from A to B. So here I am kind of taking a picture of my process book, defining the problem. Here's my pen there, and I'm actually writing it out. Defining the problem on the right-hand side. So what you're doing is trying to say, okay, I'm designing a new logo for a company to create a recognizable brand, to speak clearly to the target audience, and it being effective enough to be recognizable and versatile and appropriate. Stage 2, so once you gather that information, we try to seek understanding, grasp the meaning of the material we gathered. So we have all this information, now we're trying to gain insights. So the strategy would be researching the problem. So after you gather all the information, now research. Sometimes a problem can be solved straight out of your head, but in most cases you'll need to gain some new information and knowledge. For this particular project, the problem was to create an artifact of our choice as a graduate student, to talk to teens who are going into college soon to be high school graduates, to tell them what graphic design is, to give them an awareness of what graphic design is and what we do as designers. Kind of, giving them more insight of why they might be interested in going along this career avenue and going into graphic design as a major, say in college. So we were tasked with coming up with some type of artifact to communicate this and talk to that audience. Now, of course, now I have a niece and nephew, or 2 nieces and nephews that are teenagers, but at the time I didn't. So I had to go and research. I could talk to teenagers too. I talked to some in my neighborhood, but that's all part of the plan. So you research. I went out and bought these teen magazines. I did surveys. I asked people that I knew that were teenagers, just kind of getting the trends on what are they doing? What are they interested in? This is who my target audience is. I need to speak to these teenagers. So I needed to kind of learn more about them. Here is part of my strategy of phase 2, which is sending out just a simple survey to teenagers. What's the most important thing in your world right now? A lot of them said my phone, my cell phone. So I'm just kind of gaining that information so that I can make the best choice possible, because I'm going to be, speaking to them for this project. Social media surveys are another way you can do this. You can send out, Facebook has, options for this too. SurveyMonkey is another one. It's free services. And you can create these surveys and send them out to people. I've done this on LinkedIn too. Say if you're looking for ideas for a brand rebrand, you can send out these surveys to get some insight, feedback, and use that to your advantage. As we gather this information, we are gathering information from our brief. We are going through our processes of looking through this insight and gathering more information from maybe the target audience. We go into phase 3, which is your brainstorm stage. And this is usually the more exciting part of our process. So now we have to analyze and examine the material in search of an idea. So let the brainstorming begin. And everybody does this differently. Some people like to start out with adjective lists or sketches, thumbnails, talking to other people for collaboration, like I said, mind maps. Everybody does it differently. Here I am kind of going out, just doing an image search of inspirational things that I think would be really cool artifacts to use. This would be a step, say, for your logo design process step, maybe going out and looking at competitor logos or, logos that excite you that you think would align great, in a good way, kind of just inspiring you for this project. So here I am looking at imagery that I think would go well with what I'm trying to create here. Energy drinks were big back and then, so I was kind of looking at those as well. Here I am. Usually I start out with word lists too. This is usually the first thing I do. So when you think of your brand, so for example, if you pick this particular client out, and I would just go ahead and write words that come into your mind, adjectives that come into your mind about this brand. And as you're writing these adjectives out, thinking about, like for example, the Metropolitan one, which is the art gallery, key adjectives for that could be, exciting. Help me out here. So when you think about an art gallery, fun, open-minded, I don't know, things like that, where it's kind of clear, crazy, so these keywords that you're thinking about will be words that you can take and look at and say, okay, now I want to find a typeface that aligns with these words, or maybe I want to find colors that aligns with these words. So you're taking the adjectives and you're kind of pulling from that. If you can't think of any adjectives, look up, or if you can't think of many, you can start taking the words that you are finding and just going online. I do this often and look through a thesaurus for extra words that might mean the same thing, but they're words that I couldn't think of at the time. And this definitely helps me kind of pull out some ideas that I maybe not have thought about. Different vibe. Yep. Modern, stuff like that. Brainstorming too, collaboration, sit down with somebody. You can say, hey, this is my idea for an artifact. What do you think would be best be, used to speak to these teenagers about what graphic design is? Here I sat down with somebody and we kind of came up with some ideas and trying to do a team brainstorm here. So that's part of it. Mind maps are another one. So for this mind map, I put 6-step guide to brainstorming, to branding design, 6-step guide to graphic design process. That was my main thought in the middle. And then I branched off into those, and I know you can't see this, with keywords. And the idea behind a mind map is that you're reaching new ideas from other keywords or thoughts that you might not have, thought about originally. So it's kind of a nice way to kind of go off on an idea. And you might find something that you never even thought about as you're branching off into this other idea. The next stage is the design stage. So we went through the brainstorming. Now we're ready to design. So phase 4, we apply creative skills, starting with thumbnail sketches to visualize ideas. So here I am sketching out some thumbnails of some concepts of artifacts and how I want that to kind of look. Thumbnail ideas can be very tight, can be loose. Can be loose at first and then go into more tighter thumbnails. But here I am kind of thinking about a concept. This one is Polaroid pictures that come together as a heart. They can, flip around and find definitions of what graphic design is and the process steps that we do. So my final design was actually a label for a energy drink, which I'm not sure if I have pictures here, but that was one of my thumbnails. And then we go from brainstorming to thumbnails to production. So in phase 5, we apply technical skills to formalize and finalize the project. So here I am prototyping sketches and mock-ups and digital comps. So, obviously a logo is going to be different than you won't need a prototype for a logo unless you show it on a mock-up. So say you show the logo on stationery, but you don't really create the stationery, you're just showing it placed onto stationery, say a PSD mock-up or whichever, where you're not actually creating the actual printed piece. And then production, here I am so what I was thinking here was creating a label that could go around an energy drink, because I know that, teens were into energy drinks. They could buy this energy drink and it could be talking about what graphic design is and tells a story. And then I was thinking, okay, let's do form and function, because a lot of times we have to think form and function as designers. So I was thinking the energy drink would have a label that you could peel off, and it tells the story of what graphic design is and what designers do. And then the label turns into a cup where you can actually pour the energy drink into. So it's form and function in that regards. I actually went out and bought cans to mock up. So this is actually a mocha drink, but I like the shape of it. So I bought them, and then I ended up painting them and playing around with different label ideas here. This one is more of a banner, which I didn't go with, but this is me experimenting with that. And then here I am kind of mocking it up, what the actual label would look like. And then you kind of peel it off. So this is me. This is my hand. I'm showing my process steps. This You guys don't have to show this, but this is the process steps that I took to get to the solution that I came up with. So here I am, this is the story, and you can peel that off and make it into this origami cup. And then I go into the digital comps part of it. So now that I'm kind of had this idea of how I'm gonna go with this cup, now I'm gonna design this in Illustrator. So this is the story and the design that I went with. It looks a little hard to see here because it is origami, so you can see that it's folding in different ways, so it's hard to see here, flattened out. But it does tell a story, and the story has an outside and an inside. So the outside is kind of the journey. So it has the label, which is where you see the 100% creative juice, and it has this little teddy bear guy, and you're supposed to follow him, so you can see the little string kind of following you through. As you unfold the label, it's telling you what, it's asking you a question. What is graphic design? And the way that I speak in a lot of these thought bubbles are speaking to the teenagers themselves. So I'm keeping it OMG, LOL. So I'm doing all those acronyms and fun little things that teenagers usually do. I'm relating to them. So you're speaking to the target audience, or trying to. On the inside of the label, I'm basically showing these steps that I'm telling you right now. The beauty behind what designers do. So the first step would be what is your problem? 2 would be your, gathering your information. 3 is brainstorming. So these are the steps broken down here visually and verbally on the inside of the label. And here I am kind of just finalizing some mock-ups. So I'm printing this out to test it out. So from Illustrator to my printer. Here I am folding it into the cup. Placing it onto the actual can, and I started painting the can black. I ended up changing the color because I didn't like the way that the black looked with the black label. I ended up changing it to yellow so it has more of a pop. So here's the mock-up in Illustrator that I did with the label. And then I started to design the actual can, what the can would look like. And then what I did was, for the mock-up, because obviously I can't get a can printed, I'm trying to match it as best as I can. So this would be actually printed on the can, but it's just a mock-up on the outside. And then here's the label that would be wrapped around it, front and back, folded out, or flat, sorry. And then here's what it looks like final. So it's nice to see the steps, the reasoning behind the steps, because I think that is definitely, it's super important to see these steps so that you know the importance of them and how I got from A to B. And this is the beauty behind what designers do. And a lot of the times clients aren't privy to this part of it, but this is what makes a design effective. This is the heart of what we do, is our process steps. There you go. There you go. Yep. In a pouch. Yeah. Yeah. Very, very cool. And then implementation is the last phase here, phase 6. Put the project online or in process, and we evaluate, scrutinize in order to judge the value of our ideas, first conceptually in relation to our initial goals, and then practically as design, produced and implemented. So you're getting the feedback for this and producing it. So if it's a website, you're launching it. If it's something that needs to be printed, you're printing it, and then you're getting that feedback. So here I am getting feedback from, I'm showing the product in use too, by the way, because not only did I have to just show it, but I wanted to show it how it was used by so if it's like a product that you're using, if you need to kind of fold the package in a certain way to tell a story, you should probably show that in your implementation as well. All right, and it can be very, loosely done too. So here are my phases again in a different way. I'm defining a problem, who the target audience is. So it can be very simple what the deliverables are. It doesn't have to be a process book like I showed you. Obviously, that was for my graduate studies and appropriate for that and what I needed to do. You can do word lists. Again, you're going to highlight words that you think would work you know, help you out the best with creating different pieces, whether it be a logo or an advertisement. There's sketches. This is just another example of the stages being put into place. Phase 5, we'll be printing it out. And I would, you know, obviously not everybody has printers, but if you have access to one, or if you can, especially if you're working with a real client, it's good to print it out just to see what it looks like. Sometimes we'll miss certain things. Whenever we do that, we'll kind of see something that we need to fix. All right, so just, you know, kind of make sure you're going through these steps when doing your assignment. One, it might take you longer, and that's fine to get used to these steps, but you want to make sure you're going through each of these. If you don't and you skip them, you can always create a very aesthetically pleasing whatever, logo, whatever, but it probably won't last. It probably won't work because you didn't put that in, you know, time into researching it, brainstorming, putting the more effective concept into place, whereas you're just kind of putting it together so that it's pleasing looking, but it doesn't necessarily mean it will last. And you can come up with a lot of different ideas. That's the pro. You know, if you have a block or if you can't think of anything, this is what your process steps are for. You will not have a design block if you go through your process steps. And, you know, another thing is, again, a lot of this stuff that if you go through your processes and if you kind of make note of certain things and the client is privy to maybe some of your thumbnails, which they probably shouldn't be, but you can always fall back on that too. Going back to your brief, for example, why did you do what you did? How did you come up with that concept? You can always go back to your design process steps. Okay. Anybody have any questions about any of that? You know, I just, most of you guys probably are privy to those steps, but sometimes we don't always. We go right from getting the problem or the project to going right to the computer. So it's important to not skip those steps because you might be skipping out on a lot of really more meaningful and effective concepts. Okay, so let's go ahead and, if you don't have any questions here, let's go forward. I think I just lost you guys here. Can you hear me? Okay. I think my connection just like kicked me out. Sorry. What did you hear me say last? Because I don't know when I lost you guys. I probably was talking for 10 minutes. You didn't even hear me. Oh, okay. So we weren't too far in it. Okay. All right. Did you guys have any questions on anything that I went over? Okay. I'm going to take that as a no. All right. So I'm going to get into your assessment one. Did anybody start this yet? You looked at it? Okay. I'm going to read through this. I think it's important to read the intro here and then see if you have any questions. Okay, sure, yeah. Okay. All right, so I'm going to read through this. Let me know if you have any questions and we'll go forward here. When a company undertakes a logo redesign, they must also consider how to manage the audience's reaction to what is created. Often consumers develop deep emotional ties to the look and even feel a sense of community and ownership of the company. Because feelings can run high when a company undertakes a logo redesign, the general public may or may not feel betrayed by the idea that something about the visual presentation has been changed. Companies often must present a clear research strategy when they present their newly redesigned logo so that everyone understands the thinking and reasoning behind the redesign. Often companies present answers around the following questions when showing their newly redesigned logo. Why was the logo redesigned? How does the new design represent new directions for the company? How does the new design still embrace legacy the company has been built upon? So those are some questions that could be answered. In this assessment, you will conduct library research to understand how companies have either successfully or unsuccessfully presented their newly redesigned logos to the general public. So first, you're going to click on the Independence University link on the homepage of this course. Next, select the ProQuest Newsstand link. This will allow you to search a database over 1,500 electronic articles. You're going to type the words logo redesign into the search box. Then search. This search should reveal several thousand articles about logo redesigns. Clicking on an article's name will reveal the article so you can read it. Choose 3 different articles to read and analyze for this assignment. For each article, you will need to write at least 150 words summarizing the following. Why was the logo redesigned? What was the purpose? What new direction does the logo represent? How is it different? What was the general public reaction to the logo? Maybe it wasn't so great. Maybe it was better. Maybe both. Do you think it was a successful redesign in your own thoughts? If so, why? If not, what would you have done differently to make it better? Okay, try to be more objective whenever you answer that instead of subjective. So instead of saying, well, I don't really like it because it went from blue to red and red's not my favorite color. Be objective. Don't put your own opinion into it. Say what you say objectively. So kind of have facts behind that. Say, I think red doesn't work as good because, and then put facts behind that. In addition, take a screenshot of both the before and after of each logo. If there are no images in the article, you might have to conduct a Google search to retrieve before and after versions of the logo. You're going to place both your text and images into a Word document for your final presentation. You should have a minimum of 450 words. And you also must use the IWG citations for each article profiled. And then what you're going to do is save your Word file with the following name. And then here's a search link here if you're having issues or overwhelmed with trying to figure this out. Now, when you click on this link, I know you said you were having an issue with that. I'm going to click on this link here. It should bring you to a page like this. Do you guys see that? Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to library links. If you can't see this page, what you might want to do on your home page, just go to your library. Okay? Christina, you might want to try that. If not, let me know what happens. Here is where you'll find the ProQuest newsstand. And then you'll type in here, logo redesign. This comes up with 16,055 results here. So, not all of these will show a full article, so you might want to click and kind of pick and choose. I'll pick this first one here. Some of them might not have images. You might have to, so say if you choose an article and you really want to talk about it, but they don't have the, all right, there you go. If they don't have the images in there for the before and after, you might need to do a Google image search for that. Here's an article here, and it looks like they have the image in here. So this talks about Some of these might be more about oh, this is about a redesign. Milton should redesign to settle Exxon lawsuit. That's kind of an interesting one. Let's see if they actually have an image in here. Okay, so this is a short one here. Here's this: Exxon has charged that the double X configuration in the Maxim logo was unlawful because it looked too much like the interlocking double X of the Exxon name. Minolta. So what you might want to do, if you do this one, maybe look up Minolta logo history. Trying to find the double X. Okay, this is the old logo here with the double X. See how the Exxon is double X there? And that's kind of what their X was here. Trying to find like a timeline. Minolta, looks like Minolta is now. Trying to find a timeline of logos, but it looks like I'm not going to find that easily and quickly here. But yeah, I got to see the one with the X. You would show maybe the new one, which I think, let's just put logo. Yeah, it's this one. So you would put this one and maybe the old one with the X to show both. Does that make sense? Okay. I guess this one would be kind of the example for the before. Good, I'm glad it worked for you. So yeah, so pick out 3 articles that you're gonna write 150 words for each. Some interesting things in here maybe you didn't even know about. Did you guys ever hear about, let me see, Gap logo redesign. Did you guys hear about the controversy over the Gap logo? Here it is right here. The Gap was a big one that got really bad, a really bad response after redoing their logo. And they had a really good logo from the start, okay? Let me show you real quick here. But then they really messed it up, I think. So this is the before, and then they went to the middle one, and then they got really, really bad reviews and comments and just bad backlash from customers, so they went back to the old one. So that might be something that you might want to use too. Whoops, I missed that here. You might want to talk about that. And actually, you could find other articles about it in here too, but that's an interesting one for sure. So they reinstated their original logo 7 days after unveiling a much criticized redesign in an unusually rapid corporate reaction to internet criticism. The proposed new logo, the 3 black letters and a small blue square, provoked a storm of online abuse from both customers of the global clothing brand and graphic designers on blogs after it was unveiled on the site a week ago. So the head of Gap brand in North America said they made the decision not to use the new logo on its e-commerce website, and further adding, all roads were leading us back to the blue box. So, kind of interesting. So you can kind of read more about this here. I'll kind of leave it up to you guys. But, you know, for the most part, that is what the assessment is. So I think you'll really learn a lot, maybe new things that you never thought about as you're discussing it, what works, what doesn't work, what's effective. You kind of get insight on that. Yep, I know. Isn't that crazy? I think with, you know, everybody being able to critique online, that's kind of the beauty behind that as far as getting the feedback. Any questions about this assessment though? It's pretty much self-explanatory, I think. All right. All right, I'm gonna take a 5-minute break. Yeah, I can post the slides. I'll post it to announcements. Are you yelling at me? All capital letters. No, you're fine. No, I'll post that to announcements. No, you're fine. All right, let's take a 5-minute break, and then when we get back, I'm gonna open it up to you guys if you wanna show any type of work, get extra feedback. I know, he's kind of barking out the window. You heard him. Yeah, so I'm gonna do a 5-minute break here, and then we'll get back to it, and then if you guys, you know, don't have anything to share, we can just wrap it up. If you do, we'll give you some feedback, and we'll just go from there. Sound good? All right, be back in 5 minutes. All right, can you guys hear me? All right, awesome. I see you guys talking here. Oh, he's good. I see you guys just talking about word marks, and it's funny that you brought that up because I actually have some things to talk about each of these different marks, pros and cons of each. He's actually good. I just gave him a treat bone, so hopefully he'll stay quiet for a little longer. But you're talking about word marks. The advantages of a word mark, it makes it, you're using the entire name. So it sidesteps the problem of recognition. So obviously you can see here an example is Twitter. A disadvantage of a word mark, if not done effectively, a word mark alone may come off as generic and therefore be less memorable. So kind of keep in mind if you're designing a word mark, that could be the disadvantage if not done effectively. There's monogram logos that you can also look at. Advantages, the monogram logo solves mnemonic and legibility issues. That again, that's being memorable. Here's examples here. Disadvantage, if a symbol is separated from the word mark and the mark does not have equity, value, or worth, it can maybe be difficult to recognize. So if it's not, a well-known brand, it may be kind of confused on what it is. You have symbol logos, like this Target logo. The advantage is the benefit of utilizing a symbol alone follows the idea that a picture is worth 1,000 words. Symbols are more universal as well. The disadvantage is if the symbol is separated from the word mark and the mark does not have equity, it may be difficult to recognize. Obviously, you would not do a symbol logo for this project because they are, startup companies. So the differences, and this is kind of nicely categorized here with the advantages and disadvantages are stated on this page here. Word mark, symbol, monogram we just talked about in different terminology. So a mark is a recognizable symbol used to indicate ownership or origin of goods. A trademark is a name or symbol used to show that a product is made by a particular company and legally registered. And a signature, this is all definitions, distinctive mark or combination of visual forms. A graphic standard manual may call for the signature to be applied to all brochures. This is simply a synonym for a logo. So if you ever hear the word signature, in that regards, that could be a logo. Yep, you're right. The symbol. Does anybody know the one below that? Chase? Yep. Good. Good job. Yeah, so somebody brought that up. I think it was Tab about the word mark, so I figured I'd go over that. No, I think we all do that. You're welcome. I think that's just kind of how designers think too. So that's a good thing. Okay, so I'm going to open it up to you guys. If you guys want to show anything, have any questions, want me to go over anything, this is the time to do it now. There you go, you could. There have been some times when I will talk to somebody that say a service that I'm utilizing and I know that they're a startup company or maybe even not even a startup company, but maybe a smaller company, and they have a terrible logo or even just their marketing attempts aren't really that great. And then I'll mention, hey, I'm a graphic designer. I can help you improve upon whatever. You can kind of barter services that way too. But Christina, yeah, I mean, definitely. do it in a way that it's not, you know, you don't want to make them feel, because they could be the ones that design the logo, so you don't want to like say that's terrible logo, let me redesign it. So you'd be like, you know, hey, I can help you. Say it in a good way. So kind of sugarcoat a little bit. You just never know who you might be making mad if you say it the wrong way. Okay, Christina, you downloaded or uploaded a PDF here to look at if everybody wants to chime in here. Now, you are doing a little bit more than what's called for, so just kind of be mindful for those of you who are looking at this. You are to choose one logo, not all of them. That's okay. So I just wanted to make sure everybody didn't get confused about that. And we're like, oh, I have to do every one of them. Oh, okay, there's only 2. Yeah, you're right. So the first 9, and then you got the second, yeah. All right, so let's take a look at your first client here. Tabby's a fan of it. She said, I love these. Which one do you think is more effective? We got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Look at the Metropolitan Art Gallery first. 2, 5, and 9. 2, 5, and 9. Okay, anybody want to chime in about this logo here? Give you inspiration? Good. I kind of like number 7 too. I think 7 and 8 would definitely be something that you could play around with. And then I think, I don't know, I kind of like number 1 and 2. I like the Metropolitan font here, but I like this better, this whole part better than the big brush here. I like the more pointed arrow type brush. So it's a little bit more organic looking, and it kind of has a nice balance of modern versus like fine art. But then I also like number 7 because it's a different approach to, you know, it's definitely different. I would try maybe different orientations of the actual name. Maybe do Metropolitan as bigger and then Art Gallery underneath, like as a secondary word or words. I like this tag alone. I mean, obviously you have to have the name of it, but you can do a lot with this part too. I don't mind this either. I like the way that this is more neutral, but I do see this a lot in when I do look up art gallery logos. I kind of like the way that this is a little different. Can you use some from one of them? Which lecture? Somewhat. Can you be specific on that? And Christina, does that give you a little bit of an idea? The mountains, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of not really seeing the connection with that. but I don't know, I like the edginess of the number 7. I like the pointy, off kilter. It's almost like it gives movement to it, which really goes well with an art gallery because it's ever changing and different and not symmetric. I like that. Okay. Okay. So just use that as an inspiration tab and like just go from there and do your own spin. You know, I wouldn't emulate what I did. I know it kind of gives you, sometimes I think that it heeds your thought process showing you examples, but then hopefully you can push it forward. How can you improve upon that if it really inspires you? Okay, Christina, so this is the second client that you decided to work with here. Yeah, I don't know. I think these I think these are just a little bit over designed, and I say that in the best way possible because I think all of us do this. I know I have, and then I go back and I realize, oh, I did overdo it. So I think, putting the city in there and the actual whole bagel, that's just like a lot. It's just a lot. I get your concept. It's just, I'm not quite sure if it's working. It's a lot to look at. Same thing here with the trees. I actually don't mind take away the stems of the tree and the bagel. I like that whole mountain triangular geometric shape. That's kind of cool. That actually might be something you might want to explore for the gallery too. Something really cool and geometrical. The pictures, you have to have original. Yeah, they have to be original. You can't, I mean, you can base it off an icon and then improve upon it. So say if you find like an icon that you like, recreate it in Illustrator and then do your own spin on it. The first page should be your final one. First page. 7, bagel, simple and nice. Yeah, I like that too. I'm not sure of the of in the middle. I would definitely make this a little smaller, this part, because that's secondary. So break of day should be prominent, bagel cafe, secondary, could be smaller. Yeah, I think you should play around with these triangles. Take out the stems and the bagel and play around with that. With a simple typeface that would align with that. I wouldn't do it on a path like this if you do kind of play around with the triangles. Oh, okay. Let me see here. Okay, so this is the revised 3. Okay. I mean, I don't mind this. I think that the edginess of this one is, I think, a lot more appropriate. Instead of it looking like, I don't know, for some reason when I look at this, I think of Folgers coffee. Let me bring that up. See if I can find the logo here. Sometimes, things pop into your head when you see certain things. And that just popped into my head for some reason. Here we go. Folgers coffee. You've seen the Folgers, right? Might not look exact, but I think of that when I saw that. But I like the edginess of that. I think you have, that's really cool to like, I think for this one, I would, if you do the Metropolitan, I would definitely focus on this one. Just kind of play around with the hierarchy of this. I actually don't mind that either, but maybe making Metropolitan a little bit bigger. I like this too, but I almost think this is more edgier and more professional and more aligned with the target audience. Folgers, yeah. There you go. And then this one, like I said, I really like this look of these triangles, and maybe that's something you can play around with your Metropolitan logo too. But if you want to kind of play around with this a little bit more, you know, these two without the bagel and the tree stems and then the arc of the name, you could just play around with the triangles and see what you can come up with. Just push it a little bit. Yeah, script is a little tricky too. So think about, you know, the versatility of it. But I think that you did a great job with coming up with really cool different variations. I think this is a really, I'm thankful for you for showing this, because this really is helping other people see how you can kind of play around with different shapes and forms and typography that are appropriate for a logo. So I think, you know, you have a lot that is great going on here. It's just different styles. So I don't think that you're totally missing the mark. It's just honing in on what's more effective. Yep. So it's, you know, I think you have some great ideas here. So it's not that, you know, getting the critique is always kind of hard because you hear the bad and the good. But I think it's so helpful for pushing your work forward and also helping other people see what you're working on that helps their process too. There you go. See, everybody's chiming in now. Thank you, Christina. Do you have any other questions? Okay. So I'm excited to see how you push that forward. Good job. Thank you for sharing that. Does anybody else have anything else they want to share or get extra feedback on? See, you're getting some good positive feedback from your peers. Okay. I think what I'm going to try to do too, maybe I'm going to try this, you guys. I think there's a way I can add another page to, let's see here. So I think this worked really well in the past. I'm going to add another discussion page. It's not going to be graded. If I can't do it, you won't see it in there. I'm going to try. But it's going to be is just kind of like, I might not be able to do it. If I can do it. You look for it in discussion 1 or within your discussion 1, week 1. I'll try to add just a room where you guys can post what your rough drafts are and then get extra feedback from each other. Let me see if I can actually do that before I promise this here. This is a group discussion. Allow thread reply is easier. Grading, liking, okay. Yeah, let me see if I can add this. If I can't, I'll let you know. If that's the case, if I can't add this, then you guys can send it to me and I'll give you some feedback. So just send it through email. Week 1. Assignment 1, I'm typing this just to see if it works here while we're in class. Logo, critique, / feedback, non-graded. Hold on 1 second. Let's see if I can add this here. Today to what's the final? Okay, so we're in week 1. Week 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we'll do it here. That's right. All right, let's see if I publish this. Okay, let me go back to my discussions here. You might have to log out and log back in order to see it because I just added it. We'll see if it actually shows up in discussions here. Yep, so log out, log back in whenever we're done here, and see if you can see that. You might have to go to discussion page. Hold on 1 second, I'm putting this. Okay, so what I would do is go to modules if you have that available on the left-hand side in Canvas. And what it'll say is, where did it put it here? Put it somewhere. Maybe it isn't in here. Okay. Let me know if you can see it or not. I'm going to try to add another. See, it's showing up in one area. Oh, okay. I see. Hold on. Discussion. New topic. Week 1, assignment 1, critique. Graded. Okay. I'm going to add this and see if that works. Okay. Let's move this up to discussions. Hopefully this works. If it doesn't work, then we'll have to figure something else out. But now the key, okay. Yeah, okay, it should be in there. It should be right after discussion. The key to this is checking in to see if anybody else posted to it, because you know, you might not be posting anything to it, but other people might be. So you check in there just to see if anybody posted their work. And that way you can get feedback or give them feedback if needed. Hopefully this works. If not, let me know. Go to modules on the left-hand side. I'll show you here in a second. So this stuff you can't see in gray, but if you go to modules and you go all the way down to week 1, it should be here. Oh, let me edit this. 1 week, there we go. So it should be week 1, assignment 1, critique non-graded. So go ahead and click in here. Say, hey guys, can you take a look at this? Attach your files or embed them however you want. Okay, it's non-graded. You don't have to do it. It's just something I thought I'd throw in there. Did you see it, Tabra? You don't see it in yours. You might have to log out and log back in. So let me know when we're done with the lecture. Log out, log back in. If you can't see it, let me know. Just send me an email. Say, hey, I can't see it. And then we'll just, if you need to send me your files via email, I can give you extra feedback. I'm not sure what it will allow me to do. So that's why I'm wondering if it's going to actually publish. Okay. You might need to kind of wait until we're done here though. So yeah, it's right here. Should be. All right, any questions or anything? You guys want to show anything? Here we are, ready to go. If you want to show anything, if you have any other questions, let me know right now. Or else we'll just wrap it up and call it a day. It's okay, no problem. Hopefully this will get you started. She keeps yelling at me. Oh, Christina, you're good. You just needed some tweaking there. Hopefully we gave you some good feedback to go push it along there. All right, guys. Well, I think that's kind of where we're going to wrap it up. If you guys don't have any other questions, I will post this as soon as possible to the lecture forum, and then I will export this out as a PDF and put this this slide into your announcements. So keep an eye out for that. In the meantime, you guys have a great day. Thank you, Christina. You have a wonderful day. Enjoy the nice, I don't know about you guys, but Pittsburgh's nice and sunny today, so that's a positive. Enjoy your Father's Day this Sunday. If I don't talk to you guys, happy Father's Day to all those fathers out there. And, oh, not bad in Ohio. Rainy there. Ugh. Yeah, we're done with the rain. It's like Seattle here in Pittsburgh usually. Oh, thank you. And like I said, keep me posted if you can see that critique board. If not, let me know. I'm always here and willing to give you some feedback if that's the case. Just send me your file and I'll give you some extra feedback. Good luck going forward, and I'm excited to see what you guys come up with, and I'll be talking to you on the boards. Okay, Christina, I look forward to it. All right, you guys enjoy your day. Thank you. All right, see you, Tara. Bye, Janine. Bye, Christina.